Imagine an Africa, a continent vibrant and vast. Picture it untouched by the heavy hand of European colonization. Think of its diverse peoples charting their own courses, their destinies guided by their own hands, their own wisdom. What would this Africa look like today in 2025? It is a question that invites us to dream, to explore a path not taken, a history rewritten not with sorrow but with the ink of inherent potential. This Africa would be a testament to its own unfolding, a story of self-determination. Consider the air itself, perhaps lighter, freer. Imagine traditions flowing uninterrupted like a great river, its currents strong and undiverted. Ancient languages would sing on the tongues of the young. They would carry the wisdom of generations with effortless grace. The borders, if they existed as such, might be different. Drawn not by distant hands with rulers on maps, but shaped by cultures, by trade, by alliances formed organically. This Africa would breathe its own rhythm, a pulse felt from the Cape to Cairo, Dakar to Djibouti. The world would know a different Africa, not a continent defined by narratives of lack or recovery, but one recognized for its continuous sovereign journey. Its contributions to global civilization would be understood in their full spectrum. Not merely as resources extracted, but as philosophies shared, as art celebrated, as sciences innovated. The stories told about Africa would be Africa's own stories, told in her own myriad voices with confidence and clarity. This is the power of imagining what might have been, and what could still be. This vision is not a mere flight of fancy. It is an exercise in understanding true sovereignty. It is about recognizing the inherent strength that resided, and still resides, within the continent. To imagine such an Africa is to see the deep wounds of colonization, but it is also to see the boundless spirit that could have flourished even more brilliantly. It is a thought experiment that empowers. It reminds us of the sheer scale of what was altered and the incredible resilience that persists despite it all. Long before the ships arrived from Europe, Africa was a land of kingdoms and empires. These societies were diverse, complex, and full of achievements. Think of the Great Walls of Benin, a testament to incredible engineering. Consider the sophisticated trade networks that crisscross the Sahara. Gold, salt, and ideas traveled these ancient routes. These were not isolated communities, they were interconnected, vibrant centers of culture and commerce. Their histories are etched in stone, in art, in oral traditions. Great Zimbabwe stood as a powerful city, its stone enclosures a marvel of architecture. Its people were skilled artisans and traders. In West Africa, the Mali Empire under rulers like Mansa Musa was renowned for its wealth and learning. Timbuktu was a beacon of scholarship, its libraries filled with precious manuscripts. These were centers of Islamic study, attracting scholars from afar. These achievements were African achievements, born from African ingenuity and African ambition. They tell a story of a continent alive with progress and innovation. Across the continent, different societies developed unique systems of governance. Some had powerful monarchies, others had councils of elders. They created laws, administered justice, and managed their resources effectively. The Asante Kingdom in Ghana, with its golden stool, had a complex political structure. The Buganda Kingdom in East Africa had a long and storied history. These were not primitive states. They were organized, with clear hierarchies and systems that sustained their people for centuries, adapting and evolving. The richness of pre-colonial Africa also lay in its cultural diversity. Hundreds, even thousands of distinct languages were spoken. Each carried unique worldviews and artistic expressions. From the intricate Nok terracotta sculptures of Nigeria to the rock paintings of the Sand People, art, music, and dance were deeply woven into the fabric of daily life. These were not societies waiting to be discovered. They were dynamic, creating and living full lives. Their legacy forms the deep roots from which a different future could have grown. Imagine these African kingdoms and societies continuing their development uninterrupted. Their economies would have grown based on their own terms. Internal trade routes, already bustling, would have expanded further. Perhaps new industries would have emerged, processing their own rich resources. Gold, diamonds, copper, and agricultural products would have fueled their own prosperity, not the prosperity of distant colonial masters. The wealth generated would have stayed within the continent, invested in their communities, in their infrastructure, in their people. Political systems would have evolved organically. Alliances might have shifted, federations could have formed. Perhaps new forms of governance, uniquely African, would have emerged. They would have navigated their internal conflicts and collaborations without external interference. The borders might reflect cultural and linguistic affinities more closely. Leaders would be accountable to their own populations, their legitimacy built on local traditions and needs. This path would have led to nations built on self-reliance and internal cohesion, fostering a different kind of stability. The concept of development itself might have taken a different meaning, not solely focused on Western models of industrialization, but perhaps a more holistic approach, balancing economic growth with environmental stewardship. Indigenous knowledge systems regarding agriculture, medicine, and sustainability would have been central. Innovation would have sprung from local challenges and local genius. Universities, like the ancient ones in Timbuktu, could have multiplied, becoming centers for African-led research and thought, shaping global understanding. The struggles for power, the rise and fall of states, these are natural parts of history. Africa would have had its own share of these, but they would have been African struggles, resolved through African means. The resolutions would have strengthened their own institutions. The lessons learned would have been their own. This autonomy in shaping their political landscape is crucial. It would have fostered a deep sense of ownership and responsibility for their collective future, a future built by them, for them. Without the shadow of colonization, African languages would thrive. They would be the languages of government, of education, of science. Imagine children learning mathematics and philosophy in Yoruba, in Swahili, and Amharic. This linguistic continuity would preserve vast reservoirs of knowledge and cultural nuance. Traditions would not be seen as relics of the past. They would be living, evolving parts of modern life. Ceremonies, art forms, and social customs would adapt and grow, retaining their core identity. A sense of pride, unmarred by colonial subjugation, would be a powerful force. Identity would not be defined in opposition to a colonizer. It would be affirmed through positive self-expression and a deep connection to heritage. The stories, songs, and philosophies of each group would be celebrated. This cultural confidence would fuel creativity in all fields. African artists, writers, and thinkers would draw from a rich, unbroken wellspring. Their voices would resonate with an authenticity born of uninterrupted self-knowledge. The continent's vast resources, managed by its own people, would build enduring prosperity. This wealth would translate into better education, healthcare, and infrastructure for all, not just for a select few or for foreign entities. Trade with the rest of the world would occur on equal terms. African nations would negotiate as confident partners, their voices strong in global forums. This economic independence would underpin all other forms of sovereignty, allowing cultures to flourish without the pressure of external dependency. This imagined Africa offers profound lessons. It highlights the immense potential that always existed and still exists. It reminds us of the importance of self-determination. It shows that progress can take many forms, rooted in diverse cultures. While we cannot change the past, we can learn from it. We can support Africa's ongoing journey to reclaim its narratives, to build on its strengths. The spirit of an uncolonized Africa, full of pride, innovation, and resilience, offers a hopeful vision. It is a vision of a future where Africa's light shines its brightest on its own terms.